Welcome to Channel Blano. I like history and politics, and the history of politics. So, I thought I would talk about both. Happy New Year! You know what happened on January 1st? It's the start of a new year, yes, well that's true. But it was also the anniversary of the day in which Australia federated. So I thought I'd look at every single Australian election since 1901, all 47 of them. It's going to take a long while, isn't it? And I will try and do one video this, maybe a month. It's going to take a very long time to get through this. Can't guarantee anything, but firstly, I like to acknowledge that this series is straight up inspired and a bit of a rip-off of Mr. Beat's videos on American elections, which I'd recommend watching if you have not done yet. So, let us begin. The 1901 federal election. Well, it was the first Australian federal election, and would mark a significant milestone in the young nation's history as it officially became a federated Commonwealth on the 1st of January. First Australian federal election would take place in 1901, as it marked this significant milestone as it saw the colonies of New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Tasmania, Victoria and Western Australia all come together to form the Commonwealth of Australia. It had been a long process. Finally, it was a thing. But we're still waiting on New Zealand to actually accept the invitation. I reckon we just annex them, personally. So, with the first federal election was to be scheduled to be held on March 29th and 30th of that year. Held over 2 days, which is actually quite unusual in Australian history. Only 2 elections have done this. For the young nation, there was a bit of initial confusion on over who was actually going to be running the country during the interim period between Federation and the first election. This was known as the Hope Turn Blunder. What is the Hope Turn Blunder? Well, it was a political event immediately prior to following to Australia's federation. As the first general elections for Australia were yet to be held, an interim government needed to be set up. The Governor-General, John Hope, the 7th Earl of Hopetoun, arrived in Australia on the 15th of December 1900, and he was given the task of appointing a Prime Minister. Hopetoun had little knowledge of Australia, and so he decided to follow the precedent set by the Canadian Confederation, which was to appoint the Premier of the most populous state, which was New South Wales, as the interim Prime Minister. This would be Sir William Lynn. However, this proved controversial as Lynn had only supported Federation at the last minute, and, well, he also wasn't the most experienced. He had like a year as Premier, elected in 1899, so Premier Lynn was not the popular choice. He would attempt to build a ministry though, because, well, why wouldn't you? However, after significant effort, Lynn was unable to convince any colonial politicians to join him, and on the 1st of January, well, Edmund Barton would become Australia's first ever Prime Minister. Barton was part of the Protectionist Party, and he would lead them into the 1901 election, where former New South Wales Premier George Reid, the guy who lost to Lynn, would be the unofficial leader of the Free Trade Party. As one can probably guess by the names of these parties, trade was a popular topic for the election. Protectorates favoured tariffs to protect Australian industry, while the Free Traders advocated for free trade to stimulate economic growth. The Protectorists also advocated for the construction of a transcontinental railway, a uniform railway gauge, uniform suffrage, aged pensions, and the defending of Australia's constitution from radicals. The Free Traders, though, of course, advocated for the dismantling of the tariff system. They also wanted a transcontinental railway, and they believed that aged pensions should be left to the states. There were many overlaps between the Free Traders and the Protectorates. So, well, trade was the topic of choice, the defining feature that would divide the country. Free trade or protectionism. As for the modern parties, well, the Liberal Party wouldn't exist for another 40 years, and the Federal Labour Party did not yet exist, though that was only a couple of months away. But Labour did exist in the country, and local Labour parties would contest the election advocating for old age pensions, electoral reform, a national army, compulsory arbitration of industrial disputes, and a national referendum decided issues that would otherwise result in a double dissolution of Parliament. All parties, though, supported the White Australian policy, except for the Free Trader member, Bruce Smith. Good on you, Smith, I guess that's my vote. The election was a grueling one, with 181 contestants contesting what was 75 House seats on the House of Representatives, and 127 candidates contesting for only 36 Senate seats. Candidates would journey the country as they tried to win sway over the population of this new Australian country, or this first Australian government. Unlike today, voting was not yet compulsory in Australia, and Australia had a low population of about 3.77 million. When it came to election day, well, the voter turnout was fairly low actually. Only just over half of the population came up to vote, with 51.39%. Damn, the Election Commission would have a field day with all the fines they'd get today. And, well, the electoral boundaries of New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland and Western Australia were determined by the Parliament of the states, while Tasmania and South Australia only voted as like a single electorate. Who won Australia's very first election? Well, no party gained a majority. Well, that's nice. Edmund Barton's Protectionist Party, though, would win the most seats. They won 31 in the House of Representatives. Barton would rely upon the support of the Labour Party, who had won 14 seats, to actually form government. And thus, the Protectionist, Edmund Barton, would form Australia's first elected government. Reid and the Free Traders, well, they would form the first opposition party. They won 28 seats. Well, you guess you could say solace would be taken in that they won more of a popular vote than Barton, with 33.21% of the vote. And so, thus concluded first election in Australian history. Well, federal election. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.